This is my boat shed in Arctic Finland. I am building this, a 15-meter liveaboard cruising sailboat from scratch, using 3D modeling, CNC cutting and wood epoxy construction. And my name is Panu. Welcome! In the previous video we got the foundations mounted to the floor and we got the center line aligned and everything should be on their places. And I actually already drilled and screwed all the pieces to the foundations, so nothing is moving anymore. I just hope they are accurate enough and good enough. I think they really are. What we're gonna do next is to start putting the next molds here in the middle, and maybe, just maybe, we can start gluing these first things here on the floor during this video. I still have the heater there. I just ordered the exhaust pipes for that, so they should come next week and then we can mount that in and start getting some heat in here. And that is really required for me to glue anything because, well, it's mid-March, I think. It's 1 to 2 degrees Celsius outside, and yeah, spring is still weeks and weeks away. So in order for me to use any glues, I need the heater hooked up. But that doesn't mean that we don't have anything to do, because now I'm going to start the CNC again. We're going to start cutting the side decks from the pile of plywood over there. And also, I think during this video we start shaping the frames, so there's plenty of that to do as well. But let's now start with the CNC. For those that are new to my channel, thank you so much for subscribing. This is my CNC machine. It's my self-designed and mostly self-built as well. The machine shop did the machining work for that, but still, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty proud of it, actually. It consists of this steel frame here, aluminum gantry over there, that electric box over there, and it is controlled by this old laptop. And it has been working so well, and I am so pleased with it overall. And it is, of course, an essential part of our project. I have no idea how would I even manage to do anything of this without a machine like this. This is the material we're going to use for the side decks. It's 12mm pine plywood made in Poland. They don't do this stuff in Finland at all, which is kind of weird. The quality of this stuff, well, it's not that good as I would hope it to be, but I think it's gonna be okay. This particular piece looks quite okay. There's not any knots or any major defects on this side, but on the other side, you can see there is knots over there and here, and they are filled with some kind of compound. I don't know really what that is, but I try to put these knots on the bottom side, or this case visible side up, because the boat is upside down, of course, so that the top side where the deck will be is this better quality knot-free. We're gonna laminate these two layers together. There's a glue between, there will be fiberglass on top, so I don't think that's gonna be that big of a deal anyway. But let's put this now to the CNC and start cutting. One little detail I want to mention of using this machine, it's now powered off, so now those motors are unpowered and you can pretty easily push them and move them when there's no power. So I really need to be really careful when this is turned off, not to move those, because then the calibration goes out of the place. So before I put anything here, before I do anything on this, I turn it on so that the motors are energized and they stay where they want to stay. So no accidental bumps of that country. There has been one occasion where I accidentally pushed those and then I need to recalibrate the entire thing, and that is pain in the butt. Now it's on and now it's okay to do things here. I have now cut quite many sheets of plywood with this thing, and the method I have come up to is, well, quite simple one. I have always two programs for a single sheet of plywood. The first program is to do mounting holes for the plywood. So it's important to put those mounting screws in places where you're not gonna cut it into. I have destroyed one bit by running it in the screw. I don't have any vacuum table or anything like that in here. It would be just too much hassle and another technical system to maintain. First, now when I'm doing actually both parts again, I'm gonna change a new bit, because when the bit goes a little bit dull, it kind of starts to create more, well, the quality is okay, but there is starting to be more like sticks or kind of remains of the wood fibers in the groove that it cuts. So I better change a new bit for making these pieces. It's much easier to clean them up afterwards when this initial cut is done with a good blade. And of course, I don't have any automatic tool changers or stuff like that. It's all manual. It's okay. Okay, now I'm gonna start the mounting hole making program. I'm gonna put small screws to hold it on its place. And besides just keeping the plywood on its place while cutting, the other reason to put these screws in is to push the plywood down to the spoil board so it is flat, because plywood they are always a little bit crooked in some way. So if it's kind of bouncing up on the middle, the cutting will not go that well. So need to put some screws there, and then we can start the actual program. And I know I'm gonna stand in there just to keep it down while the holes are made, so that's not really advisable, and it mostly violating all the safety regulations considering these kind of machines. But yeah, don't do this at home. Do it only in boat workshop. Alright, now the plywood is in, and I'm gonna start the next program. This should go pretty fast because there's only 2 pieces to cut from the single plywood. The side deck pieces are actually quite large. It's creating a bit of a waste, but well, there's really nothing you can do about it. "23 minutes and 17 seconds to cut all of these mounting holes and the pieces out there. It's just the cutting time, the running time of the machine. Many of these are only 2 parts. Some of them have 3 or 4 pieces, but mostly 2. And now I'm just gonna put a second one in. There is 13 sheets to cut, so it will take a few days. Okay, this is the last one of the plywood side deck pieces to cut, and yeah, it took only 3 days. Most of them I did yesterday, today only 2. So it went quite smoothly. Let's now start this and then figure out what we'll do next. This is now all the pieces for the side decks of the boat. Here you can see the general width of the side deck. It's not very wide, but I think it's okay. It's maybe around 400 millimeters. Of course, there will be some overlap on both sides to connect it to the cabin and to the side bulwark. Plenty for shoes to fit in there. And now when they are cut, I can start figuring out the next tasks. Yeah, it's pretty cold still. It was down to -6 last night, and yeah, the temperature will rise above 0 on the daytime, but I really can't use the glue yet in here. I'm waiting for the chimney parts to arrive maybe this week so I can get that diesel heater up and running, then we can start the glue up. And I really would like to start putting those molds in here, but I think I'm going to postpone that a little bit because it makes the grid in here and it's much harder to walk on, and I need to get those frames out from there. So I think I really start now to shape those for good. I need to free up some space here. Too much stuff still. Yeah, there is really not that much I can do before the glue up starts. Oh, the rest of that pine plywood pile. I started yesterday to figure out the programs for making the bulwark sides. I mean, these pieces here. I'm gonna do a CNC cut scarf joints for them. And I think we'll get back into that in next video. That would be interesting. There's no hurry with those at all, but I would really want to get rid of that pile laying there on the floor. Although my rack is quite full already, so I need a second one of those. It's very, very nice. Almost the whole pile of that 12mm plywood is in there. All right, I think it's time to start finally to shape these frames. I will explain just briefly what's going on in here. As you can see, these are laminated frames from thin pieces of wood here, and there is this plywood top and bottom. And these plywoods are cut with CNC to certain shape, so that this surface here presents the shape the frame should have on this particular line. And same thing on the other side, this bottom plywood has the shape on this end. Now we need to shape this wooden laminated frame from this edge to that edge to make it absolutely perfect shape for the hull of the boat. There is also some additional details here. This notch will go into those notches on the bulwark, so they should go right where they need to go and stay there when they're installed. Then there's this inner shape here. This top shape is actually the bulwark side. The bulwark will be from this deck level to here, which is the bulwark top, and this other notch is for the beam that comes right underneath the side deck. And all these shapes are, of course, kind of 3D shapes. I need to trim them to these edges. Same thing as with this edge right here. The inside surface here should be quite okay. I need to clean that up and trim this plywood a little bit. And here on the bottom is a notch for the keel timber. So the keel will be in here, and this needs to be cleaned up. There's same thing with this on the bottom side as well. So there's the notch there to be cleaned up as well. So this is cleared out. These will be shaped, and those notches on the top right there. This side is almost completed. This outer edge is pretty straightforward. Just planing it down. The last couple of millimeters needs to be quite careful not to overplane. And finishing with the sandpaper, I just used 40 grit. Other side is much more difficult. It's smaller and I can't really use the planer well, but this multi-tool does quite a good job. It's a little bit slow, but maybe I get a little bit better over time. Just need to be sanded in the final shape now. Now I just do this one and then we can start with the other side, but I think I'm gonna do that tomorrow. And yeah, I also have this kind of tool, but I didn't have those sandpaper. They're pretty narrow and they are very efficient. So with this, I can probably finish these areas quite a bit faster. Maybe even that. Yeah, that should go with this one as well. So need to get those sanding doodads to this one. But yeah, third one almost done. Only 15 to go, I think. All right, a little bit too much effort going with this shape here. I bought these flappies into my angle grinder. This creates so much dust, but it's very efficient. And the problem really is that when you're doing this side, it pushes the dust down. On that side, it's of course other way around. It will push them up, so that's not ideal. And yeah, the problem really is that the initial cut should go very closely where it needs to be, but it's really difficult to see the bottom side at the same time to get it right. I don't know, I need to still figure out this a little bit. But this side looks pretty good already, and probably I'm gonna do these way too accurate. Alright, I think this frame is pretty much done. Only thing that is really left is the inside of the frame, and I don't actually have a proper tool to do that yet. I would need like this rolling tank type sander. What's that called? I don't remember the name. I put the name here. Anyway, I don't have that kind of sander yet, so I'm gonna do that later. Maybe after the boat is actually right side up. Those are very easy to access inside the boat later. So yeah, now I shaped both of these corners and I sanded lightly the top sides. I used a router to trim the plywood edges, and yeah, the shape is pretty much there. Now I just need to move it to somewhere to store it while we prepare the boat here to install those. It takes a little bit too long still, especially those edges. They are pretty complicated to do. I need to figure out the ways to do it efficiently. Probably I'm pretty good at doing those when I do the last one, so then I know how they should be done. So yeah. Yeah, but Kimmo, the fellow that has been helping here a few times, is coming actually today, and we're gonna organize this area behind there to make proper room to shape the bigger frames. This is now a pretty small frame, I just did it here. What amazing productive day we had here. Kimmo just went out of the door and I stayed here just to feel this thing. So, as you can see, I got all the molds installed here and they went, I won't say perfectly, but they went very well. There really was no major mistakes. There was a couple of small issues there on the front. It's quite complicated actually. Few of those notches were missing and stuff like that, but nothing major. Everything kind of fits so well, and this kind of day really brings the fact that CNC is just worth the effort to do and use and learn. Yeah, everything is so accurate. They are so well in there. Nothing is mounted with screws or anything like that. I don't think they need any screws, these molds, to hold their position, and yeah, very pleased. And at the same time, Kimmo actually finished one frame and started the second one. I'm gonna continue that tomorrow. And we also, of course, moved all the frames from here to there, and that's really the reason I managed to put all these molds in here, because if they were here I wouldn't have no way to get the frames over this. But now the frames are there, they are close to that station there, and I can easily move them, and then behind the camera is the one finished frame there waiting to be installed. Unfortunately though, I didn't get the exhaust pipes for that heater this week, so I can't start gluing yet. I hope they come during next week so I can start gluing, because there is really not much left to do before starting to glue up. These small pieces here are the first thing to glue in. Then the side decks, they are all cut, of course, there, and I have now all the programs for cutting the side walls here as well, so I need to do those. And really, after they are glued, I need to get material for making the middle mold here as well. So I think that's also task for next week. Start to ask where I'm gonna get that material. This is kind of now coming really quickly together. Only smallish issue, of course, is that cleaning up those frames, it takes a little while, maybe one work day per frame, I would say. Maybe I'll get a little bit faster with that, but there's a lot of work with those still. And quite probably I am doing that way too accurately. But I'm gonna do them as well as I can. And then we just cross our fingers that they fit in here, because that's the whole point of this effort after all. But I think this was now enough for this video. In next one, we definitely will start gluing things on here. At least these small pieces, and hopefully we can get into gluing the side walls and the side decks as well. That will be very, very exciting, because they are actually pieces of the boat that will stay there forever. So it's quite overwhelming really for me, and yeah, so thrilled that this huge project that has been kind of evolving on the computer so long, and we have been waiting. You have been waiting this for happening like 5-6 years from the first video, and yeah, now it's starting really to come together, and there is so much things to do still. And yeah, I just hope that you will stay with me and more of you will start following this journey. And that said, of course, if you're not subscribed yet, do it now and give me a like and comment down below, and we will see you in the next video. Bye bye.